Hey everyone, welcome to another Painting with Jay. As always, my name is Jay, and you're painting along with me. So grab a brush, grab a model, grab some paints, and paint along. And as always, if you want to pick up your own Jay t-shirt, it's really cool because my face recognition is picking up on the face. Go to miniwargamerj.spreadshirt.com, link in the description below. And yeah, let's keep painting. So today I'm just going to keep working on those Imperial Fists I worked on last week. I haven't gotten anywhere really on them. I've started the reds on them, so I'm about a third way done the reds. And I'm going to keep painting red today and maybe get that done. So then next week I do silvers and finish them up. I'm in good shape. And then I have 15 more Tactical Marines done. You know, life's good when you have Tactical Marines done. So I'll talk about my week. Let's get painting. Yes. So here we go again. Painting some Imperial Fists. Yellow. Or no, I'm working on the reds today, but they're all yellow. So they were all yellow. Coldplay. Painting to Coldplay. Yeah, so I'll talk about my week. It's been, I guess, interesting. I don't know. You know, finally had a root canal last week. It was good. Root canal, it wasn't as painful as the cavity filling, actually. It was kind of cool. It wasn't as painful at all. So that was good. It's one of those, I think it's one of those dental procedures that has a lot of pain associated with it that isn't as painful as people think. So the reason why I held off in the first place was not because I was afraid of it or anything. It was because I couldn't afford it. And even now, it's still really expensive. So, yeah, I had a root canal. Part 1 of the root canal. Part 2 is in 2 weeks. Or next week, I guess it is. Week and a half. Yeah, I have to go back and get it finished. So, yeah. What else? I made a video. I haven't put it up yet. It should be up before this video is up. In my free content, asking for more support. I hate asking, but I have to. I really do. Because, as I said in the video, just as of late, and as I said last week, just due to a lot of recent circumstances, it's become really hard for me to keep up with my content. And it's because I just don't make enough on my videos in the free content, and even the warp, really. The warp is closer to fueling its own videos than the free content by far. So I just don't make enough, unfortunately, to keep working the amount of hours I do on my videos. And it really sucks because I love making my videos. I really do. So if you find value in my videos and you can afford it, obviously if you can't, no problem. I'm not mad at you or anything. But if you can afford it and you want to donate, a couple dollars a month to my Patreon, please go ahead and do that. It would make me very happy because I've changed my goals. I think the goals are more realistic now, and they're more, they're better. So we're basically 2/3 of the way there almost to a painting tutorial a month. Now there will be a painting tutorial next month. I've decided that. I have not made the goal yet, but because the people on Patreon have paid for a few months with no goal met, I really just want to have a tutorial for them. So they are deciding right now the next month's tutorial. As we speak, they're answering a survey and choosing which one. I've given them a bunch of options. And speaking of painting tutorials, this week's painting tutorial in the warp, if you want to go join the warp, is this Interrogator Chaplain. Had a lot of fun painting him up. Used an airbrush in a lot of the ways. Turned out awesome. Had great fun. My only regret is I didn't paint him up sooner. He's a really, really cool model. The problem, and then I have another one as well for Miniature Painting 101. Just had to do smoke. He was done using hand, and he was done using airbrush for the smoke. So, but yeah, he's just a cool model. I don't think really he's going to get much playtime in my Dark Angels army, but oh well. He's a cool model. So yeah, and what else? So yeah, as I said, I need help, unfortunately, and I know everyone else does too. It's almost become, I know our niche has almost become a bunch of charity cases. It really has, and as I said, it's kind of weird in my opinion that Mini Wargaming asks, well, that's maybe why they're so successful, besides the awesome content that they produce. It's because they ask the most for your help and your support, and they get it. And they make more than probably every other, yeah, they probably do, every other niche every other video maker in our niche combined. But they spend a lot, so they need more money. But and there's other YouTubers out there that ask for money as well. And the problem is that we're almost becoming charity case, and I hate adding to it. Until now, that's why I've been really quiet. I don't like to ask. I do put at the end of my Miniature Painting 101, if you like this, join the Warp, because the Warp's awesome. I love the Warp. I love the content in the Warp, and I believe it's worth its value. You guys may disagree, and that's cool. So as I said, if you have a couple dollars that you'd love to spare, supporting the Patreon would be awesome, because the Patreon funds are now going towards How to Play 40K, because that's been the series that I really wanted to get off the ground, but it takes the longest amount of time. So much time, so many takes. I have to write it out in my head and plan it out, and it's a really hard series to make. And I find is that with each episode, it becomes harder and harder as you get deeper and deeper into the rules. And I don't want to stop making the series because it's a fan favorite, but it's just really, really hard. And even my top, my top couple episodes of the series, they've actually, gotten a lot of views. But the average episode in the series doesn't, unfortunately. And it's just one of those series that is amazing, but does not warrant it. The views can't warrant the production of the episodes. And that's a problem. So I'll be taking some of the funds that I make from my Patreon and applying them to the dedicating time and resources to making really good How to Play 40K episodes. And then when I'm done 40K, eventually I'll do War of Hordes or Infinity or something. Yeah, and keep doing it. So, but also one of the stretch goals, I've changed the amount. It's now much lower. I think it's 600. If I hit that goal, not only will there be a new tutorial every month, the tutorial will cover a new model, a recently released model. So it could be Age of Sigmar, it could be a recently released 40K model, it could be a recently released War of Hordes model. And then I will randomly select a supporter from the Patreon people to get the model for free. I'll pay for shipping, and they get the model. I did this for the Warp for a while. It worked out okay. And as I said, so right now I see it as Patreon is going to fuel, until maybe one day, if I can make enough of a Warp that it would not only support itself, it supports the free content. But the Patreon will cover the free content, and the Warp will cover itself. And then to combine, maybe one day I can just rely on myself, and that's what I want to do. I want to be completely my dream would be completely autonomous, the Warp is slightly different because you pay and you get all the videos. But if I could just make enough off my content just to do it, I'd be happy. I'm not trying to get rich. So I'm not, people know me. I want to stay humble. I just, unfortunately, based on life circumstances, I can't keep going on this trajectory. I can't do it. Life is getting too expensive for me. And it seems like almost every day a new expense pops up, and I just can't do it. And I can't dedicate time anymore. And it's hurting. So, yeah. That's my story, unfortunately. So, as I said, if you don't want to, no problem. I'm not mad. You have the right to do whatever you want with your money. But if you would like to throw $2 or $3, or the other option, and I did say this in my video, is if you'd really like to join the Warp, but you feel the $6 a month or $60 a year is too expensive, which you might, contact me at j@jdidproductions.com. There's an email address in the video. And talk to me about pricing, and maybe we can work out an agreement. That way, and I'm okay with that. I really am, because most people's Patreons, there's a huge variety in what people donate, and they all get the same perks. So if somebody's paying slightly lower for the Warp than everyone else, the thing is, there's so many levels right now for pay for the Warp anyway, because I did last year was, for the first 2 months, I started my initial price of the Warp was half that, and then every 2 months the price went up until $6 was reached. So, Yeah. You know, I'm okay with that. As I said, it's not. I'm not trying to do a get rich quick scheme or anything like that. I just want to make my videos for a living, and this is the only way that I can do it right now. You know, and it's sad because I think about all the smaller YouTube channels than me, who also need support. But the thing is, they need support for everyone needs support for different reasons. You know, and if I don't make enough to live off of, definitely they don't because I get more views than them. All the smaller channels, right? There's only a there's only a handful of YouTube channels in our niche that actually get more views a month than I do, and there's no way they can live off theirs either. So. But yeah, and you guys know I work hard. I produce as much content as I can a week, and I've put out almost 700 videos. So I'm going to continue to work hard. I just need help, and this is the catalyst that I need because otherwise, I don't know how much longer I can keep working on these videos for free, in the free content, which is very sad because I want to keep making as much as I can. But like battle reports take a lot longer than people think, and How to Play 40K takes a lot, like a whole day to do an episode. You know, I love these painting with Jays, and they're a fan favorite, and that's why it works perfectly because I love to do them, and people love watching them and painting along. And in the end, I get dudes painted up, which is nice because I like having painted armies. They look better on battle reports, and I swear that they roll better. So, and for those who don't know, right now, as I said in my color scheme, I'm painting my fist on red on all the areas right now, and yeah. These are the same guys from last week that I shaded. Done another. Yeah. So, but that's it. Let's stop talking about finances. Let's start talking about other things. So what happened this week? It was an interesting week. Goes by as always. Summer's almost over. That's so scary. Summer just flies frickin' by. I've had a good summer full of really bad finances, but I've had fun. I've had a good time. I've worked hard. I did some things that I always wanted to do. I haven't been to a Jays game forever, so I went to a Jays game. I didn't spend much, obviously. I got cheap seats, but I went to a Jays game nonetheless. And unfortunately, the Jays aren't doing as well as I was hoping. They lost against the Yankees twice last weekend. So then they were a little bit behind, and they lost against the Phillies. So they're still not out of it by any means. There's still like a 35% chance on betting odds that they'll win their division. But yeah, it's too early to call. But Jays are good, and I went to the final concerts this weekend. The second last concert of this summer's concert series in Peterborough, and it was a couple young Canadian pop stars. So it was good. One of them I didn't know their name. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but have you ever gone to a concert not knowing the name of the artist, or if you're at a festival or something, and then you see an artist and you're like, all right, let's listen to them, and then you hear the songs and you're like, oh, you're this person. That happened to me. Like I recognized the first guy was named Francesco Yates, I believe, and he has a couple songs. Like he's almost like a young James Blunt. Little bit. His to me almost reminds me of James Blunt. His vocal range is very high. Yeah, I'd say like a young James Blunt, Canadian James Blunt. He has a lot of funk to him, like James Blunt has put in a lot of his albums. And he was good. I knew his music, knew a few of his songs, and then the next guy I didn't know who he was, and it ended up being I actually recognized more of the second guy's songs than the first guy. So, but it was also weird because I've gone to a bunch of concerts this summer, and the same songs keep popping up. One of them covered "Wake Me Up" by Avicii, and then the other one covered Thinking Out Loud, I think is the name of the song, by the romantic song that people play at their weddings now from Ed Sheeran. And he's the third or fourth artist to play that song. So it seems like Canadian artists, well, no, one of them was American, I guess, but these artists love to cover each other's songs, but it's the same songs being covered. Wake Me Up and Thinking Out Loud. So, kind of weird. I played some battle reports, which will be up eventually. Some of them went up already because people really want. I put all my Warhammer Hordes battle reports in the vault, not the vault, the warp, because it's a special thing. Like, I don't play Warhammer Horde battle reports very often, so when they do, they end up in the warp because it's it's a special battle report in my opinion, and it goes in the warp. So I filmed 2 with my friend Andy. And then I also filmed a battle report since last time. I think it was since last video with Dave, and we tried an interesting thing. It was a kind of experimental battle report where Dave and I were both playing Blood Angels. He wanted to play Ravenwing, and we thought it'd be kind of interesting to see Ravenwing versus the rest. Like a pure Ravenwing army versus a non-Ravenwing Dark Angels army. So, but while building my list, I looked at my list and I realized, now I don't list tailor in any means, but knowing my opponents, if I ever know my opponent's army, I will intentionally not bring armies that are terrible or stupidly amazing. Like, I don't like to tilt the tables before we even put our miniatures on the table, right? I like to have close, great battle reports. So if I know that my opponent's bringing an army and my answer is a perfect counter to theirs, I won't bring it because it won't be fun. I hate battle reports where you look at the armies and you go, oh, this army's going to win. And yeah, and then, it happens. And then you're like, oh, why did I even watch this battle report? So I don't tailor. But when I was looking at my army for Dark Angels, I kind of thought in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. No offense to the rest of the Dark Angels, but they suck. Ravenwing are really where the Codex excels. Everything else is kind of weak, other than, a couple formations. Greenwing by itself would get massacred by Ravenwing because Ravenwing are so much more maneuverable and survivable than Greenwing. Greenwing have no access to grav, like Centurions or anything. And yeah. So I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be quick. And I thought, okay, Deathwing. But Deathwing are very weak as well against Ravenwing. Because they don't come in until turn 2. And Deathwing are so slow, right? They drop in, if they can. And then the Ravenwing are just going to dance around them and shoot them from 19 inches away the entire game. And really, in a gunfight, I would bet on the Ravenwing because Ravenwing wound on 4, like let's say it's Bolter versus Bolter. A 4-up rerollable is almost as good as a 2-up, but they get a lot more firepower, and it's just they are so much more maneuverable. So yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a really bad matchup. And it won't be a very interesting battle report. So the only way I could balance the army was I put in an Acheron, an Imperial Knight Acheron. Which, those you don't know, Acherons have a 16-inch, so it's a flamer, it's a Hellstorm flamer, Hellstorm template flamer. That is Strength 7, AP3. Flamer. And as I thought, it wasn't overpowered, but it kept the game balanced as long as it could. So, it was good. But yeah, Ravenwing are really good. And compared to after the game, it's just, man, Deathwing aren't as as I said, in the entire Codex, Ravenwing is what shines. The best HQ is Samael. The second best HQ is probably Ezekiel. And then after that, it's like, oh my goodness, Belial's okay. But Belial isn't very good. That's the problem. Like, compared to other comparable HQs, like Lysander, Lysander's better in every way than Belial. He's strength 10. Has a 3-up invulnerable save, like Belial when he has his Thunderhammer Storm Shield. Sorry, I'm going to open up a drink. And has Eternal Warrior and a better Warlord trait. You know, Belial's Warlord trait is that his gun ignores cover. Except most people run Belial with Thunderhammer Storm Shield. So, yeah. His gun that he doesn't even have ignores cover. But he doesn't have a gun to begin with. So, yeah, that's a pretty bad Warlord trait. Versus Lysander, whose Warlord trait is he has Feel No Pain. You know, Feel No Pain, much better. So, it was an interesting matchup. I'm going to keep playing my Dark Angels. Try out some new combinations. I gotta get a land speeder painted up so that I can play. Or I ordered. GW finally has Samael back in stock, so I should order him, and that way I can play Ravenwing or combined. You know. That'd be good. But yeah, it's a little. Ravenwing is where the Codex shines. It really is. Like I could have, if I wanted the crazy list Taylor, I don't even have the models, but like the triple Vindicator list would have been hilarious against Ravenwing. Excuse me. So, but it was a good battle report. I had fun. I've started putting out the Imperial Fists battle reports now. There's been 2 against orcs in the free content, and 1 against Tau in the warp. The 2 for free were actually 2 really good battle reports against orcs. I had a great time. One of them was against Stu, and the other one was against Mike. Mike Rose playing bikers. He brought a character from the Forge World books. Yeah. What else? There's a tournament coming up soon. Well, not that soon. In a few months. I'm trying to figure out what I want to bring. I might pick up one more Imperial Knight for it. We'll see. But yeah, there's a tournament coming up called Brawl in the Hall. It was the same tournament that I won with the doubles, but it's a singles tournament. 1850. And so I was thinking of going orc grot list, like my themed grot list, and try to get the last 4 grot tanks ordered and painted up and all that stuff for this tournament. That way I could do a full grot tank list and it'd be hilariously fun. But unfortunately, because the rules of the tournament now, Dave, to be fair, the rules are very fair for this tournament. I have no problem with the rules. Dave. You know, it's hard to make a tournament rules for 40k in which there's so many codices, so many supplements, so many Forge World things, and he decided to allow Forge World, which I'm very okay with. And yeah, like he had to make a decision, and his only rule is that the rules have to be available, right? Other than I guess limited edition ones, but you have to be able to purchase, you know, the rules. They have to be for sale. Or available as a supplement, etc. But the only downside to that is there's currently 1 Forge World Imperial Armor book that has been discontinued. And as you can hear, the guy in the background, Mr. I like to rev my engine, Mr. Rever. He's revving his engine. He loves to rev that motorcycle. Couldn't hear me, of course, because he's revving his engine. But so there's only one Forge World Imperial Armor book that's been discontinued, and it's the Orc one. And it's could be temporary. It's temporarily for sure, but it hasn't been replaced yet with an updated version. So unless it gets updated in the next month, I can't bring I can't bring the orcs because there's no available codex. Unfortunately, I can't bring the Gratanks, so I can bring orcs. But I didn't really want to bring orcs. I wanted to bring my Gratank list because it's so much fun. So, if that's the case, I've just decided not to be a jerk or anything. I'm just going to go and have a good time and be friendly and stuff. But I don't want to bring a whole lot of models, I'm thinking. So, if that's the case, I might just bring an Imperial Knight Army. We'll see. I'm thinking about it. It'd be hilarious at a tournament. So 1850, I can bring 5 Imperial Knights. My list would be like my 3 Forge World ones, a Castigator, an Acheron, and a Lancer. I'll bring them. There's a very good debate right now which is the best formation in the Codex. One's like the Household, the Knightly Household, and the other one is the Baron Court, Baronial Court. And providing you're running 5 of them, because the Baronial Court requires 3, the other one requires 5. But let's say you're running 5. One of them, the Baronial Court, you assign a Baron, so your leader, your HQ knight, gets +1 weapon skill, ballistic skill. And anyone within 12 inches of him gets counterattack and the ability to fire Overwatch, despite the fact that knights cannot normally fire Overwatch. Because they're knights, they can't fire Overwatch. But then this gives them Overwatch. Now, most of the cases, it wouldn't really matter having Overwatch because most of the knights that GW has, most of their knights, man, revving his engine long. Most of their knights, their powerful guns are blasts, right? They're all blast weapons. So you don't really care about Overwatch in that case because who cares? You can't fire the blast weapons anyway. But if you look at the Imperial Knights from Forge World, Overwatch to them is actually really cool because they have guns that actually aren't blast weapons. So the Lancer has a 6-shot, Strength 7, AP 2 gun. Right? Or Strength 7, AP 2? Yeah. So Overwatch for him, that could actually hit. Any 6s to hit would actually result in like a dead Terminator. Or the Castigator. The Castigator has 8 shots, twin-linked, Strength 7, AP 3. So if you're able to be assaulted by pretty much anything other than Terminators, that twin-linked Strength 7, AP 3 gun really works. And then finally, the Acheron has a Hellstorm Flamer template. So it would just be D3 hits, Strength 7, AP 3. That's pretty nice. So, and ignores cover. So if Ravenwing are as popular at this tournament coming up as I think that they might be, that would be hilarious, right? You assault it, and it overwatches and kills 3 bikes. Statistically, you kill like 2 bikes a turn on Overwatch. That's pretty powerful. Maybe I should do the eyes in a row. No, you know what? I'll do each model, as I've been doing. So that's pretty cool. But my list would be, I'm thinking at 1,850 points, it would probably be Acheron, Castigator, Lancer, and then the only way to get the other 2 knights in is to run 2... what are they called? The ones that with no guns. Them. The Gallants. Or Gallants. Which I can borrow some. I don't even think I need to purchase them. One of my friends is thinking can loan me some. So I don't even need to buy anything in this case, which is nice because I don't really want to buy more models. You know, or there's a couple cheap ones available on Kijiji or something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spend more money. I'm trying to save money right now and just paint models. Which is, by the way, this painting with Jay over the last year, I've painted almost like 400 models over the last year. I haven't burned out or anything, and I've not purchased more than like 20. So I think I've purchased, for the ratio of painting to purchasing is at least like 20 to 25 to 1, and that's a great ratio. So the number of models painted has been insane, and the number of models I've purchased is tiny, and that's awesome because I'm actually starting to see, as I said, like every week more and more blank space in my office shelves, and plus these tutorials that I do for the warp. Every week I do a tutorial, and it's another model painted. So, this week already, like last week or 2 weeks ago's tutorial model was Tigurius. So now I have Tiggy, and I now have almost. It's getting to the point now. I think I'm almost at 1,500, maybe 2,000 points. Probably closer to 2,000, I'm guessing, of Space Marines. After these guys are done, that'll add another 210. So it's cool. I'm having a great time. Hopefully you people out there are seeing as much progress in your work painting as I am. By the way, howdy Chung. In case I found out, Chung watches these painting with Jays. It's cool. So how's it going, Chung? Shout out to Chung. Hopefully you get back on your painting. I know you're a little burned out, as you said, but hopefully you can find your way with vlogs like these. Yeah. What else happened today? Privateer Press. Speaking of Privateer Press, I should talk about my battle reports and then Privateer Press stuff. So I tried out a new caster. It was a lot of fun to try out, named Haley 3 when I was playing War Machine. Haley 3. Haley is kind of the most overpowered caster in the game, or was. Well, it still kind of is, but Haley 2 is the most overpowered. They just came out with a Haley 3, and Haley 3's cool thing about her is she has the ability to bring in future and past selves of her own that have their own powers. And I played her, and it was a lot of fun because it was just really fun running 3 Haleys on the table at the same time. And it was a good game with Andy. And then I tried my Scorn list. The only problem with my Scorn list is I'm very, 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 very limited in number of models. So I gotta get more Scorn models in the future. If I want to, I don't know. I'm probably not gonna get in the near future because we'll see. I just don't. I only play a couple battle reports of War Mahords every few months, so I can kind of get away with very limited model count. But I really should maybe pick up in the next 6 months or so one of the all-in-one boxes. They're doing this thing right now. They're limited time, I guess, technically, but they'll still be available for a while, according to my Privateer Press friends. The Privateer Press is doing all-in-one box sets for each army, and it's a 35-point list. And they're really good. They're solid 35-point lists. And the Scorn one, I don't have most of the models from the Scorn one, so I can buy the Scorn one in sometime in the future, and it'll instantly double the points of my armies, and give me a lot more tactical flexibility, which is good. So, one day, as I said, it's not on my high priority list. I'm trying not to spend money, as I said. My goal right now is to hopefully get more support, work hard, make more videos, and just keep going with minimal spending. And that's the thing, that's why some people argue maybe I don't need as much financial support as other people, because I've not gone really expensive. People like Mini Wargaming or Ash, they rented out buildings, and I do this all for my house. But for me, it's the time that I put in, not necessarily the finances, it's time. I put a lot of time into my stuff. A lot of time. It takes time to make videos. It really does. And it costs money. in some cases. Codex reviews, for example. And the thing is, what most people don't know is Codex reviews, I do... Here's a little secret between us, okay? Codex reviews, I don't make much off of. In fact, several Codex reviews that I've done this year, I didn't even make the amount of the Codex back. I do them because I love to do them. My viewers love me to do them. And I learn about the new books. So it's a win-win-win-win. But it's by far my most popular series is when I do a Codex review, and people associate me with them. But in several, it's happened 3 times at least, that I didn't get my money even back. And most of the time, I barely break even. So it's just the cost of the Codex to, like, basically, if I buy a Codex, the first 20,000 views end up just paying for the Codex. Excuse me. So, but I'm going to keep making them, obviously, because people want to see them, and it's what I'm known for. I love doing it. So, but that's it. All right, back on finances. Away from finances. What else should we talk about? Oh yeah. So then, Privateer Press today, they put out an errata. Now, Privateer Press, in a similar they have an errata for their game and FAQs, and what they do is they will change rules. Like, they change rules in their erratas and FAQs. Like, change them. It's not an FAQ in the sense that, like, and sometimes an FAQ, but most of the time they call it erratas, but essentially they're rule changes. They literally add words and subtract words from the rules for these models. And sometimes they will go crazy, not crazy, they'll go and even erase rules from models, and that's what happened today. So arguably one of the best casters in the game, called E. Haley, Epic Haley, Major Haley, whatever, she has a bunch of names. So she has a feat. Every caster has a feat, and Warlock has a feat. And it's a 1 time per game time where they call the special rule, and each one has a different one, and it really helps them win the game. Essentially, it's a temporary awesomeness power. For those of you who don't know, War Machine and Hordes. And Haley's feat is one of the best feats in the game. Not necessarily the best, but it's one of the best. And her feat is basically your opponent, their entire army can either move. You choose this on an individual basis. They don't have to choose. They don't like one for the entire army or one for the other entire army. But each model can choose to either move or do something, but can't do both. It's kind of like in 40K, if for an entire round you could choose, so your opponent could only choose between moving or shooting or assaulting. Can't do both. But if it's assault, it had to already been base to base because it couldn't move. And that's the thing. So the models, your opponent's models can only move, and if they move, they can't do anything. They just move. Or they can do something. But a lot of the time, to do something, they need to move. So it jams up your opponent for an entire turn. The entire army's useless. Very useless. And the second part of her feat is that not only does this happen, that whoever's ever playing Signar, so whoever has Haley, gets to choose the order in which the opponent's models activate, which is huge because in War Machine is a game that really involves. That's the guy who likes to rev his motorcycle. Order matters. Because a lot of the time, what one character does impacts another character or model on the table by buffing it, reducing it, making something hurt, knocking something down. So the caster, E. Haley, whoever's playing the Signar, gets to completely mess with your opponent for a turn because not only are they jammed because they can't move or can't do anything, I get to decide. If I'm playing E. Haley, for example, I get to decide how you activate, and it's usually in the most reversed order you can think of, so that no one gets any bonuses, everyone blocks each other, and your opponent is just in a terrible situation. And that's why it's one of the greatest feats in the game. And this is also why E. Haley, like if you look at tournaments, every, and I literally mean almost every, like 95% of Signar tournament players have E. Haley with them. Because she is hands down the greatest caster Signar have access to. And people will talk about balance in War Machine. What they're actually referring to is external balance. There is some external balance in the game of War Machine. Not perfect by any means. But internal balance in War Machine is an illusion. There is no internal balance in War Machine. Really, there is a clear line between the best caster and the worst caster in each faction. And if you look at the tournament scene, you'll see the same. For example, for Signar, if you see a tournament caster, like a tournament list, a typical tournament list for Signar will be E. Haley and or Siege Brisbane. I just got an email from Kickstarter. In every list. Siege Brisbane and E. Haley are the 1-2 best casters that Signar have. Versus the casters which I love to play, like Nemo. Nemo is an elderly man who loves his electronic equipment, and he is arguably one of the worst. But I love to play him because he has fluff, and he looks fun, and he's such a fun little caster dude. He's not very competitive. He really isn't. So, but the thing is, what they did was, Privateer Press today decided that they should nerf E. Haley. So they just said in their FAQ errata, which as I said is not really an errata in the sense that it's not an error. They just decided that they want to balance E. Haley and knock her down a peg, so they removed the second part of her feat from her. Essentially, they said ignore the second sentence on her card. So it's as if it doesn't exist. So now, E. Haley does get the ability to screw with your opponent for a turn by them can only move or do an action, but you don't get to choose the order in which your opponent activates anymore. It's now just them choosing. So a chunk of her feat has been taken away. One of the reasons for this is not only is it powerful, but it's also stupidly annoying because War Machine tournaments, where most War Machine is played, is timed. It's usually death clock. And death clock meaning that each player has a fixed amount of time. Your turns are timed. You have a timer. And if your time runs out of your time, you lose. You forfeit the game. So it's really annoying in a death clock situation when your opponent, who's a Signar player, and all of them bring E. Haley, when they pop their feet, because they choose your order. So it's really hard on the time. And in War Machine, it's one of those things that very few things your opponent does during your turn matter. Right? In 40k, it's always like, you wound me, and then I roll to see if I survive. Or if we're in Assault, we each roll and get our turn of rolling. That does not apply in War Machine and Hordes. Basically, once you put down your dice and it's your opponent's turn, unless you have Tough, which is kind of like Feel No Pain, you don't get to roll a single thing. There's like, yeah, 1 in every 15 models you actually get to do anything with, basically. It's your opponent's turn. You sit back and watch your opponent try to destroy you, basically. It's very clear cut, but it's really annoying in the tournament scene with E. Haley because your opponent controls your movement. So what they have to do is essentially, one player has to have their hand on the death clock and constantly pause it, while the Signar player then has to dictate who moves next. So it's kind of like, Signar player chooses your model, hits the death clock, then you move that model and do whatever you want to do, either move or action, then you hit the death clock again. And then the Signar player has to choose the next unit, and then repeat this process. And it's really difficult. Because originally they had to figure that's the only thing you can do, otherwise the Signar player could just intentionally run out your death clock and you lose the game, and that's not fair. Right? That would be the greatest feat of all time. You pop feet turn 1, and then just take 45 minutes to think, and then your opponent loses. That's not fair. At least this way, I'm okay with it. And in the end, it really streamlines the turn, because it removes the annoying aspect of, and it was a really big hindrance to Deathclock, which the majority of 40k is Deathclock, right? Or not 40k, War Machine. So, personally, I'm okay with it. And I'm a Signar player, I don't know. Yeah, but that was interesting. So yeah, it's been a good week. The summer's gone by stupidly fast, as it always does. Time goes by so fast. So maybe next week I'll think about my summer. It'll be talk about my summer and everything. I had a good summer. Stupidly expensive because of all my bad luck. But I've had a good time. So. Yeah. And as always, shout out to my homies that I know are watching this, like Mark Hill, who's painting along at home in Australia, and Stu, who is painting along with me. All you people painting along. Adam from Greenleaf, Mr. Spot. Man, he just loves to rev that engine. What else? Oh, I've been doing... Seriously! People. I have a motorcycle. I've never done this behavior. It's really weird to me. But, so... Where am I? I'm going to get my Caribou Crimson shade and start doing the red. And then I will... Where is it? I put it here. I intentionally brought it out because I knew I was using it. There it is. I'll start shading the symbols and then start the other reds and keep going. We did a step. And I'll have all the reds done before next week. That way it's not just, working on the reds next week. I'm going to try to have reds done. And let's see if I can actually get these guys done. If that's the case, I'll work on something else next week. But, yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun to go back to the tournament setting. Sorry. To bring Imperial Knights. So it'd be 2 Gallants and 3 other Knights. And the thing is, at least... My argument is, A, it would lead to very quick turns, which in a tournament, you gotta have. You gotta have quick turns. Because if you don't have quick turns, it's really boring and it's a terrible game, right? Because quick turns, it matter in tournaments. And with Imperial Knights, it'll take me like 3 seconds to set up my army. Each turn, I only have 1 set of firing. So only 3 of my 3 models fire a turn. If they're alive, the assault phase will be relatively quick because I only have 1 set of attacks. So it'd be a pretty fast game, which you can't argue against fastness. And then secondly, it'd be kind of fun. I know it's kind of I don't know if it's a jerk thing to do, but what I like to do is, to be honest, I like to bring, when I go to tournaments, I like to bring sometimes competitive lists, but play them in a fun way. And have a great time doing it. And then my goal is usually a lot of times to win best sport. Because I can do that. Like, I've brought in some cheese lists before, and I win best sport because I don't play them like a jerk, I find. And I tend to be a good sport. People enjoy playing against me usually. Seriously, why are you revving your engine? So... He just likes to sit there and rev his engine. Noise pollution and air pollution, I guess. What else is new? Oh yeah, the Ashley Madison hack. They finally leaked all the information. And to be honest, I kind of want to go on and see. I want to see if I can get the leaked information. See if any of like my friends are on Ashley Madison. That'd be kind of funny. But yeah, they finally leaked the information. That was big in the news. Jared, the former spokesperson. The former spokesperson of Subway is in a lot of trouble. I'm not going to really go into why, but he's in a lot of trouble. So, yeah. Subway. They're kind of separating themselves from him right now. Oh, good. He's turned off his engine. Nope. He just turned it right back on. Thing is, I'm in an office right now. Like, I'm in my workshop. The doors are closed. Kind of reminds me of like, there's a South Park episode called The F Word, I'm pretty sure, where they make fun of Harley bikers, that they always have to be loud and obnoxious to just get attention, and that's why they rev their engines like that. It's kind of funny. I don't know. The thing is, as expensive as life gets, I try to keep myself humble and positive. That things can always be worse. And I do keep in contact. So I try to keep in contact with some viewers, like through Facebook and stuff. And a lot of my viewers, I can honestly say, are going through more rough stuff than I am right now. And that's what keeps me grounded, and it's all relative, like what you're going through right now, it could always be worse. And to some of my viewers, it is. And that's why I can't complain. I'm enjoying myself. My biggest challenge right now is my finances. But it's honestly a molehill compared to what some of my viewers are going through. So I can't complain. This step is so much quicker. It took me 45 minutes to do the reds, and this one shade is taking, excuse me, the hiccups, 30 seconds compared to it. So that's drying. I start on the next ones. Done. Next red. Yeah, for the next 10 minutes we'll do Evil Sun Scarlet on the shoulder pads and the eyes. This engine is still on. I can hear it. That's so annoying. So, I do apologize with all the financial talk. I really don't want to keep going into it. I'm not going to go into it any further. But you're my confidants. So know that I'm going to have to start asking in my videos. So you're going to see it when I start making how to play 40Ks again. It'll be mentioned. And in my Q&Js, I'm going to have to start asking for financial support. Because if you don't ask, you're not going to receive in our niche. Because everyone else asks. And they'll receive. So I apologize for that. I don't want to become a beggar on a street corner to my viewers. I want it to always be about the content. But until I can support myself on my own feet, I unfortunately may need some help by you guys and girls, obviously, to help raise me up. So, yeah. What's he doing? I don't know. People are silly. Very silly. Adam. You missed a spot. So. Oh, there's a new product I saw the other day that a viewer on Facebook, thank you very much, viewer on Facebook, sent me. It's really cool, and I want to get one. So I'm going to see if I can get one. I think they're from Britain, called a flock box. And what it does is, it's really cool. It's not very expensive, so it would be kind of fun to use in my work. And it's really cool because it allows you to control the angle of the flock that you apply to your bases. Because what it does, it's a box, obviously. It's like the shape, it's basically the size of my wet palette, like this. And it does is you pour it uses electromagnetic currents, and they're electromagnetic. So I've seen people frequently shock themselves. It's kind of fun. But what you do is you magnetize the grass so it stands up vertically, like this, and then you use You basically use magnetism on the other end. So if it was a base like this, I put PVA glue, hang it upside down, and put a magnet here, like the other part of the electromagnet here, or the electric current. And what it does is it draws all the flock upwards at the exact same angle, so your grass is essentially perfectly straight. And it looks really cool. Like, it looks great. They did it on Beasts of War. And one of the other members of the WGC, Mel, the terrain tutor, he's right now, I think he's doing a giveaway with them, so go check out his channel as well. Mel's a good guy. And I think he's giving away 2 of them. But of course I'm not going to enter myself because that'd be unfair. But yeah, so I want to pick one up. They're really cool. The only downside is you might shock yourself. If you touch any of the parts, it's very easy to accidentally shock yourself. Why is he... Does he do it out of anger? Neighbors. And he's across the street. Like, that sound, if you can hear it, that's from across the street. And I'm in my workshop with the doors closed, and there's 2 sets of doors. I do have the window open though because I like the current going through the workshop. Otherwise, it gets really hot. That's really cool. So I'm going to see if I can pick up one for cheap, and I think it'd be really cool to use. And plus, I can do like a series on it. And the effects are really nice. Like, it really you can tell that it's a huge difference between that and just applying your grass. It looks so much nicer and so much more natural, I find, with the flock box. So yeah, I look forward to it. It's gonna be cool. Look at these guys. They're taking shape. Really taking effect. Oh, I'll call soon. We've been painting for a while. There we go. Another one done. That's the great about these colors. Each step becomes easier and easier. And then the only reason why I use Wild Red Red. Oops, I forgot a spot on this guy, so I'll have to go back out later and fix him. I just forgot the chest symbol. I'm excited to have these guys looking good. Finishing up my Imperial Fists for now. When I'm done the models, I'm going to just take a break and then work on Dark Angels. Okay. There he goes again. Yeah, I'll work on my Dark Angels. Get Ravenwing off the table. Because I didn't run a lot of Ravenwing as a Dark Angel player. And I would like to do... I'm going to do a lot of Combined Wing, I think. Oops. Combined Wing. There we go. Just forgot the symbol here, yeah. So Combined Wing will be fun. Belial and Samiel on the table. See, it was an easier way back in the day where all you do is put Azrael on the table, and then he would make combined wing possible. He made everyone troops. But now he's Lord of War. Yeah. And, it's going to get a little sloppy. I should probably start calling it soon, because, yeah. We've had a good time painting, though. Good time painting. So yeah, this weekend is the final concert in the Peterborough concert series. It's a country group named Doc Walker. Kind of sounds like Dog Walker. But they're good. They're a good country group. So I'll go see them. And it'll be fun. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. Can't believe it's going to be weird. School's going to start next week. Or 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, school starts. I don't have school, obviously. But, yeah. One of the things lately I've been facing, to be honest, I know you guys are kind of like my psychiatrists. One of the things I've been facing lately is, one of the things that, not only is it awesome making videos, right? I love making videos, obviously. But one of the things I've been dealing with lately, it's really weird when you sit back and realize actually how unhireable you can be. You know, when you look at jobs, and unfortunately I've been looking at jobs lately. As I said in my last week's video, I've been looking at jobs that will take up more of my time because just to pay the bills. You got to do it, you know? It's greedy of me to only work on my videos and have a weaker job and then more stress on my family. So I can't. I'm looking at other jobs right now. And the problem is, wow, when you're applying for jobs and you look at all the criteria in which they're looking for, you go, whoa, man, am I unhireable? You know, and the problem is, the things that I'm actually really hireable for, like the things I can look at a job application and go, yeah, you know, I really qualify, are Ministry of Natural Resource jobs. But the thing is about the Ministry of Natural Resources, and this is kind of an inside, you know, like basically you need to know them on the inside, and it's a government job. So what happens is the government is required to post their jobs, despite the fact that they always do. I know people in the MNR, and they always tell me this as well. It's almost not even a point of applying, because unless you have an inside person or you are the person who's going to get the job, you're not getting the job. And what they typically do is, like, they already know who they're going to hire. My friend who used to work for the same MNR office that I've applied for, he has counted at least several times in which, the application deadline is Friday, let's say. Friday at 5 p.m. Friday at 5 p.m. hits, they took in all their applications, they don't look at a single one, and then Monday morning, they declare who gets the job. And it's, you know, this person who they promised the job to 3 months ago, but they had to formally put up the job because it is the rules of the government. You know? And that happens every time. So, unfortunately, it's who you know in those cases. But, wow, I was even looking at, like, the university near my house, Trent University. They were hiring security guards. And I didn't even come close. I only met a third of the criteria to be a security guard. I was like, wow. These days, it seems like, you know, because everyone has degrees, they really have a lot of criteria, you know, and it's hard sometimes to fit. Unless you were perfectly, not designed, but perfectly suited for it, you know? Like you went to school to be a security guard, and then you go to security guard school and you get all your security guard training, and then you can be a security guard. But anybody else who's thinking about becoming a security guard doesn't meet a third of the criteria. You know, it's crazy. So. Nothing against security guards. I don't think it's, and by no means am I saying that being a security guard is an easy position or anything. I don't think so. Like at the university, right? For example, right? Like I'm not saying it's an easy position and it's a dumb position or any means. I just found it really funny that like I didn't even qualify for a third of the criteria for the security guard position. So. Yeah, by no means am I saying insulting it. It's a job that requires an education, formal training, CPR. You know, it blows me away at how unhireable you can see yourself, because if you just look at the criteria they're looking for and you don't meet any of them, it's like, whoa. So, keep making videos. What am I going to do? And I know I'm being a little messy with my reds, but I could just take a walk. Like, I've sealed them twice at this point with varnish. So I can just take a brush and a little water and wipe it off really easily. And it comes off. It's better not to make the mistake. But if you do, by varnishing you create that nice save point. And then look at that. See? He had red on his head by accident because I hit it. None left. Got it all off. And how am I doing the eyes? Oh. His eyes are done. Yeah. Jobs. Maybe one day I can just do this for a living. I'd be happy. Yeah. We'll see. There's an event coming up that I hopefully will try to get to this weekend as well. A really good guy named Ian in this area hosts just a get-together for 40K players every month or so, every 2 months. And it's coming up this weekend. I don't know if I'll be able to attend. I should find out today. Engine Rever's back. Oh, and his motorcycle's off. I'll probably turn it back on. Yeah, so hopefully I think it's Xeno Rising. So I don't know if it's... I don't know which side I'm going to bring. Maybe I should just bring Imperial Knights again. No, kidding that. Should I bring Grot Tanks? Grot Tanks are pretty fun, but if there's limited time per battle, I don't know. That's why the only downside with Grot Tank armies is that they take a while, because they're, they're a complicated shot. Like if you bring all Grotzukas, which I tend to do, it takes a while to fire them. We'll see. That'd be fun. He's a really good guy. Who likes people? Alright, well, we should call it now, I think, because I just finished the second round of reds on these guys, and I'll get the eyes done, start on the silvers before next week. Maybe I'll get them all done. We'll see. So let's end now. So that concludes another Pain with Jay. I really hope you enjoyed yourself, got a lot of work done. I got some tons of work done on my Imperial Fists, It's all good. Once again, sorry for talking so much about finances. It's just one of the topics on my mind right now, and that's how I rant and how I get through things, talking through you all and rambling with you all in my Painting with Jays. That's all good. But I'm going to have to keep asking in the future until I can support myself. It's all good. And I hope you've had as amazing of summers and full of fun as I have without the crazy, stupid expenses. And I hope you got a lot done this summer. It's been a fun summer. Fall's on its way, but it's all good. You know, it really is. But yeah, most importantly, thank you. I'll never stop being thankful and grateful for every single one of you who supports my videos, who subscribes to my channels, and who paints along with me in my Painting with Jays. You're amazing, and thank you very much. And Adam, you missed a spot. So thank you very much. Until next time, this is Jay saying happy painting with me.